At the intersection of true crime and real estate, you'll find Crime Estate. I'm Heather.
And my name is Elena. As real estate agents and true crime junkies, we view crimes through a different lens.
So walk through the door of some of the most notorious true crimes with us and discover how sometimes the scene of the crime has its own story to tell. Well, hey y'all, welcome back to Crime Estate. I'm Heather, and I'm here with two of my very favorite ladies in Dallas, Elena and Melanie. Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Hi.
So today we are going to be back in the great state of Texas. And Mel, we were talking offline earlier. You were like, not so many Texas stories. So for our listeners, we'll try to mix it up, in the next few episodes. But for today, we're back in Texas. And it's sort of a story that's like quintessential Crime Estate. Like I just had to cover it because it's big personalities, big properties, and even a little bit of big hair.
Yeah. Those are like your three big things that you like. You like those three things. And when we do podcasts.
I didn't realize I had like such a type in crime stories, but apparently
I do.
Yeah, you totally do.
You
totally do.
You both have types. It's funny of
yeah.
me being outside looking in.
Yeah.
I absolutely. And even when I'm talking about it with my husband or my son and they're like, "Oh, what are you recording?" They can tell, oftentimes which one of you is doing the story.
That's hilarious. That's cute.
I love that.
But your hair's not big today.
No.
Yeah, but you look
Girl, I'm
adorable.
just barely making it.
I love it though.
Thank
It's
you.
adorable. You're not like the closer to God. The higher the hair, the closer to God.
No,
You're
no.
like sexy librarian today.
Oh, is that what this
Yeah,
is? Sexy
yeah,
librarian?
yes.
I love it. It's more like, am I going to be able to get a shower today? No. Let me pull my dirty hair back in a bun.
Well, it works.
Thanks. Okay. I love that.
Well, I was impressed that she was matching her Duke sweatshirt and her Duke pants. So that's like an
That's true. Yes.
attention to Duke.
Go Duke. I don't know where we'll be in the Sweet 16 or in the
Pretty
the
close.
whole basketball bracket by the time this episode occurs, but big Duke fan. So, but if you're turning into our YouTube channel for the first time, just know sometimes we put in a little more effort than I did today. All right, so should we jump into today's episode?
do it.
Do you think? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So this story takes us to Texarkana, Texas, which you won't be surprised to learn is on the border of Texas and Arkansas.
Yeah.
Just like the name implies. So it's in this town that a little girl by the name of Linda Farr was born on July 7th, 1938. Linda grew up in Texas with several brothers and sisters in a world that valued grit, faith, and hard work. The kind of upbringing where you learn early that if something needs doing, you just roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. Now, as a child, her brother jokingly called her Lizard. I'm not sure why. I couldn't figure that out. And then he shortened it to Liz, and then it sort of got shortened to Lil.
That's cute.
And so we'll get back to that nickname later because she does sort of end up going by her nickname her whole life. But
Lizard.
that's where Lil. So
Lil,
Lizard
okay.
to Liz to Lil.
Okay. We had a cat, and the cat's name was Liz, and Aaron called it Lizard.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's like a thing. I don't
Did
know.
you have a nickname growing up?
No, I wish I did.
What about you, Mel?
Yeah. I was sometimes called Fumbles.
Fumbles, like with an F?
Yes.
That's not very lovely.
Oh, no, because I was clumsy.
I mean, I figured that's why. It's just not very nice.
My parents' nickname for me was Crash Bar. You notice a theme here going on. So
Well, that's funny because I don't see you as being clumsy.
Well, thank you, because I'm very ladylike.
You are.
You've come a long way. If we're talking about parent nicknames, I had one. I might cut this though.
Okay, what was it?
My dad called me TV tray butt.
TV tray. Like your butt was just flat?
So flat. It's
Like
still
from
flat
the age of
to
4,
this
he
day.
was like TV tray butt?
Yeah. He'd say, like, you turn around and you disappear. Like, because there's nothing up front and nothing in the back.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So my dad, since I was like a baby, called me Noodles. And my
Aw.
understanding is like I was like floppy, like a noodle or whatever. So that's cute, but I was just always Noodles.
Oh.
And then much like Linda here, where your nickname then gets shortened to something else, I became Nudes. Like Noods. which was fine until I was in high school and we would be, out at a public place and he'd be like, hey, nudes, come here. But I mean, to this day, that's still what he calls me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nudes. Okay, that is a funny. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
noodles or nudes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but I do think like the older I get, I sort of think more about how our childhood shape us. Like they shape the person that we're going to become. I won't opine on that too much, but I think Linda's childhood really shaped her, like just instilled some of these core values that sort of goes on to define like everything she built later in life, which we're obviously going to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to digress too much on the story of Linda, but you know how I always deep dive a little bit. And I found the obituary of her father, and his name was Linwood Farr, and it just seemed like a pure Texas tale. And here's some quotes from the obituary. Linwood had played semi-pro basketball for the Dr. Pepper Company of Dallas. And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Pepper is synonymous with Texas. I mean, it's a Texas brand. And so the idea that they even had their own semi-pro team seems very
Par for the course.
Par for the course, yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Farr had been a Golden Gloves boxing contender in Dallas, a heavy equipment distributor in Texarkana, a character actor in 20 movies, composed and recorded 30 songs, authored several screenplays, and was a pioneer in the emu ranching business in Texas, a former member of the Texarkana Optimist and Lions Club, and of course a producer of Riding Down the Texas Trails, a multicultural documentary.
He is multi-talented.
I love
man.
that. I love
Me
it.
too.
Yeah, it felt like a very Texas tale, and almost kind of painted a picture of maybe, her origin story.
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. And original listeners to our podcast or longtime listeners will recall that many of our early stories, to our surprise, often coincidentally had to do with pageant women. And Linda was no different. So she was runner-up to Miss Texarkana in 1959, and she won the Miss VFW contest at Fort Hood in 1960. And so as she grew up, she decided she was going to move to Dallas and start her modeling career.
This isn't the only tie-in, right, to another episode that we've done.
You're right.
A major Texas story that we covered, and I'm just now realizing what it is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Okay. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she definitely had like sort of a firsthand account at one of our other stories.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably a good time to note, if you like the podcast or want to support us to help us keep the mics on, and if you haven't watched us on YouTube, we have a lot of technology. We'd love for you to buy us a coffee or a cocktail. All you have to do is go to our website, crimeestate.com, and click the link to support the show, or go to buymeacoffee.com/crimeestate.
Oh my gosh. I love your it's not a Vanna White voice, but it's very much like a game show host voice.
Yeah,
That's really good.
That's kind of what I was going for.
It was good. It was good. Yeah. So if you love the show and if you love how we just happen to tie all of our episodes together, we hope you'll jump online and show us a little bit of love.
Even if it's by coincidence.
Absolutely. So before we dig into this tie-in, though, we're going to give everybody else a little bit of time to guess. You guessed it.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go back to Linda. It's like many women of her generation, she was raised to believe that like being a wife and a mother was her calling. And so she soon married Hap Arnold, and the two went on to have 2 children together, Dana and Trace. But the marriage unraveled. She later described struggles with an abusive and unreliable partner in her memoir. And when her marriage ended, she found herself a single mom responsible for raising 2 small children, without a safety net.
So we're talking 60s, 70s?
Yeah, I think so.
So when she's divorced, she's raising 2 kids. That couldn't have been easy, like socially, financially, emotionally, like all the things.
No, you're absolutely right. It wasn't easy, but let's remember she's sort of a get it done kind of gal. And so she started hustling. She started several small businesses, and whatever she was involved in, she sort of wrapped her kids into her world. I mean, it's not really a lot different than like you and I taking our kids to an inspection or helping put out open house signs. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is the family business. This is what the family does to make money. Sometimes you just have to jump in, or your sweet husband, like, yeah, I'll go over and fix this tile,
right.
It's just what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so her first business venture was the Fun Factory, a children's party business. Now, I'm going to read you an excerpt from an article from D Magazine in 1977.
I love D Magazine.
I do too. It says, actually, our boys were just featured in D Magazine.
Oh, yeah. That's
Isn't that right?
I forgot about that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, side note. You can go look it up if you want. We manufacture fun, says Arnold, owner of the Fun Factory. Her shop is complete with assorted carnival booths, helium tanks and balloons, and popcorn and cotton candy machines. These booths can be rented for $25 each, but you must arrange to have them transported, set up, and returned yourself. For $50, the Fun Factory will relieve you of this hassle and will supply you with one booth containing 2 games, your choice of anything from the fish pond to the ring toss game. But you're on your own with decorations and refreshments. The Fun Factory also offers parties at a ranch in Justin, Texas, located about 30 miles west of Dallas. The spacious grounds overlooking Denton Creek feature horses, a swimming pool, playground equipment, a trampoline, and a recreation center where the partygoers can enjoy a theme-designed cake, ice cream, and punch. At this party, the host or hostess's only duty is to drive the children there and return them home. This price for an all-day affair begins at $70 for 20 children.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
I wish. There's no way.
I mean, it's like, it's so impressive.
She was on the beginning edge of an industry that was about to take off for sure. I mean, if you think about it, what would she be doing for kids' parties today? I mean,
yeah. What's the craziest birthday party that either you've thrown or you've been to for kids?
Just off the top of my head, Miles's first birthday party was a rock star theme.
Of course it was.
We printed lanyards for all the people to come in, and they got a lanyard and a little laminated card with a graphic on it with his face on it. And then we had some friends dress up with security shirts, and it was all like decked out like he was like a rock star.
And he's a rock star now. So
wow.
I mean,
you were really setting the stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love it. What about you, Mel?
I mean, we had kind of like those where they bring in these like obstacles, and we did it at a park, and then it was not God, what are those? Not paintball, but what is it? The types of guns that like
like soft air or whatever they're called.
Laser tag.
Laser tag. Yeah.
But it was like a laser tag at a park where there was like obstacles set up, and so the kids could hide behind different obstacles and jump out.
I bet you paid more than $70 for
Yeah,
that.
I probably did. Yeah. And I know you did some extravagant kids' birthday parties.
Well, I have one kid and I like to throw a party. Yeah. So, but probably the biggest, like most elaborate party we've ever thrown. I can't remember how old Lincoln was. 6, 7. He was in elementary school, but like young elementary school, maybe kindergarten. And he wanted a Ninjago themed party. And I could find nothing Ninjago.
Oh, really? I would have thought.
He would think, probably today you can go buy it all, but I could find nothing. And so I set up in our front yard an obstacle course. If our listeners are not familiar with Ninjago, the characters all represent like earth, wind, fire, water. And so we had an obstacle course for every element. And I thought, I was like, this is great. I'm going to do this. I'm going to spend all this time and money. And then I'll like post on one of the Facebook pages tomorrow. Like, does anybody throwing this party come get it? Everything for $50, right? And oh no, those kids destroyed everything in my yard. They went full blown, like, I don't even know. But the most fun part about that was my dear friend Casey, her mom made all the kids these, what do you call it? Like, it's a headband, but it's like a ninja headband, like where you tie it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Casey did the calligraphy, like in ninja style writing of their names. So we still have the little headbands.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
creative.
Okay. But I digress a little. I'm sorry, y'all. As this article mentioned, in 1977, Linda expanded her Fun Factory business by purchasing a 194-acre ranch near North Lake, Tarrant County, which back then was like a very much largely undeveloped tract of land near future landmarks like the Texas Motor Speedway. Now, and aside for our non-Texas listeners, like I said, this is sort of relatively rural, especially back then, near Fort Worth. The kind of area that lives up perhaps to like your stereotypical expectations of Texas. I would say it's like an hour and a half from here where we live now, but like a totally different world. And today, this area with the nearest town of Justin, Texas, is like on the outer rings of the Fort Worth suburbs. Now, the land included a dilapidated farmhouse, and she and her teenage children moved in immediately, often using hand saws to cut old bodark stumps for firewood and melting snow for water when the well froze over, all while rebuilding the property. That's hardcore. Bodark is like one of the hardest woods to cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Interesting real estate knowledge. So if you have a bodark tree that you have to get removed, it's much more expensive than other types of trees.
I couldn't identify it.
Yeah. I got two in the backyard. I can show them to you when we leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of impressed that you know how to pronounce that.
Yep. Yeah. It's spelled like BOISD''ARC.
I thought you were just being fancy
No,
there.
no,
I didn't
that's what it
realize
is.
it was an
Yeah, it's
actual
like-
thing.
Yeah. Now, in the midst of, moving into this farmhouse, trying to get it set up for her kids, Linda ended up waging a legal battle against the former tenant of the property who sued her, saying that he was the actual owner. Now, I think we could go into a lot of real estate talk about that, because unless she just gave somebody a suitcase full of cash and they were like, yeah, now it's your property,
Right.
that doesn't really happen.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you get title commitments. People do a search to make sure there's nobody with a vested interest in the property. So I have a lot of real estate questions about that probably wouldn't be interesting for anybody but you and I
Very
to talk
strange.
about.
Yeah. Well,
But
we'll do it after.
That's perfect. Now, Linda prevailed in the courts, and years later, that former tenant was quoted as saying, "She beat me fair and square." And he referred to her as a tough old bird. But y'all, that was not the only legal battle that Linda was associated with at that time. And here is the tie-in to our previous episode, Stonegate Mansion. Now, Linda's Farr's brother is a man by the name of Stan Farr. And as you might recall, Stan was dating the soon-to-be divorced Priscilla Davis, who was in the process of getting a divorce from Colin Davis. Now, if you remembered when we covered this fascinating case on the podcast, Colin had built this incredible property in Fort Worth and was sort of like essentially evicted from it while the divorce proceedings were ongoing. So that night, like quick summary, Stan brings Priscilla back to the house and the two are ambushed. Now, Stan is killed and Priscilla is injured. And tragically, Priscilla's 12-year-old daughter from a previous relationship is also killed. Another man was paralyzed after he was shot by just driving up on the scene. And Priscilla named her ex-husband, Colin Davis, as the one wielding the gun. When he went on trial for Priscilla's daughter's murder in late 1976, he was, at the time, the richest man to ever stand trial for murder. He was found not guilty.
I mean, that episode was really fascinating. And remember the wigs? And the costume that Colin Davis was wearing and how everybody recognized him, but yet he somehow, big money, 1970s Texas, got not guilty. Anyway, we've just touched the tip of the iceberg there. But if you want to listen to that one, that was actually episode 9.
Wow.
Can you, that feels like we just did it.
Yeah, I mean, and remember, my husband, Jason, when we had first talked about this whole podcast, he was like, you got to do the T. Colin Davis story because he had grown up playing soccer against T. Colin's kids and how everyone at the soccer games would gossip all about the murderer over there. So anyway, we'll link it in the show notes. It's a crazy story, and that mansion was amazing as well. I just love it when our stories intersect.
Yeah, especially when it's a surprise for
Yes.
us.
Yeah. Remember you had asked me to do a little research and I was at the hair salon doing research on my phone a few weeks ago. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And I'm like, did you know there was and you were like, no, I had no idea.
Haven't gotten there yet. Thanks, Mel. So she's gotten a divorce. She's moved on to this ranch. They're trying to put together this house. She got sued saying she wasn't the owner. And then her brother is killed. And there is a very public trial.
It's crazy.
That's a lot for one person to handle all sort of at one time. but Linda did, and her new business was thriving. Now, remember earlier when I said her childhood nickname was Lil? Well, she was a good marketer, and so she really leaned into her Texas heritage and added a Texas to her nickname, branding herself as Texas Lil. And so she named the ranch Texas Lil's Dude Ranch. In addition to hosting birthday parties, she added on corporate retreats where visitors could experience trail rides on horseback, staged Wild West events like mock train robberies, and rodeo-style competitions, followed up by a night of barbecue, country western dancing, and probably a little bit of beer.
Sounds like fun.
It does sound like I would go do that with y'all right now.
It totally sounds fun. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're showing you pictures of the ranch now. It's everything you would expect: raw wood, sided buildings, string lights, dirt paths. It's pretty rustic, but cool Texas-y rustic. It reminds me of Green Hall, concert venue in Green, Texas.
Yeah, it does. It definitely has that vibe. And at its peak in the early 2000s, Elena, Texas Lil's Dude Ranch was drawing a large number of out-of-state visitors and hosting concerts with local bands and even occasionally hosting big acts like Willie Nelson.
Wow.
Yeah. So Linda could see that there was potential in expanding the business to include a large conference center and a separate dance hall to better serve corporate retreat visitors. And so she took out a bank loan to build those facilities. Now, it should come as no surprise, based on what we've told you about Linda. She really inspired loyalty in her workers.
I love her so much already. She's a true Texan.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, one article I read said that Linda had a penchant for hiring itinerant ranch hands, gimpy cowboys, and roustabouts to work the spreads, supplying them with room and board as long as they worked hard and followed basic rules about not being a pain in the ass.
That's not asking much.
No, I mean, isn't that great?
Yeah, I love it.
I feel like that should be a good rule of thumb for any small business owners. Just don't be a pain in the ass.
Just don't make this hard for me. One of the workers, Tina, said that Lil always shot from the hip and told you what she meant, not what you wanted to hear. She believed in giving everybody a chance. She had rules, and you had to follow them. It was a ranch family.
I love it.
Uh-huh. Now, the article goes on to say that Doyle Bubba Lawrence worked as a ranch wrangler from 1985 to 1990, and he occasionally broke those rules, which included being in bed by 10 and no fraternizing of the female kind in the bunkhouse. Isn't that awesome?
I mean, you could just sort of picture this bunkhouse. Yeah,
I love it.
no fraternizing.
So Lawrence said that big corporations would come out and they would put on these like really elaborate Western style parties. They would people would show up on buses. You know, think about it. Like, Mel, you've been to corporate retreats. Elena and I haven't really been to corporate retreats. That's not our world. Or I haven't. I mean, yeah. But your business throws a big retreat. I'll stay at this hotel. You get on a bus to go out on Saturday night after you've been in a conference room all day.
I mean, it's usually some sort of like corporate, bonding.
Exactly.
You're making, although I feel like this was a specific time period that this was going on where I know when I first started in the workplace, like I worked for big companies and they would spend a lot of money on parties and events and things like this. Nowadays, I feel like, companies, at least in my experience, have ratcheted back a lot in this area. They're like, okay, we could do a lot of that and, we could lose, 20 people's jobs, or we can, give y'all pizza and cupcakes and keep people employed. So,
I think that's smart.
I do feel like it was very much a bit of this time period when people were going a little bit more rah-rah.
Yeah, I think that's right. So Bubba also said that these buses would show up, right? And the guys would be on horseback and they would stop and pretend to rob the buses, like make it a really immersive experience.
Cute.
And he was like, we would hoot and holler, but we had blanks in our guns. And we would do like this old West robbery scene. And then the sheriff would come and start shooting at him. And he was like, one of us would die and somebody would ride off. And then they would get taken in for their dinner.
That's adorable.
Isn't that fun?
I mean, it sounds very theatrical. I mean, entertainment. And they definitely had to take buses because, this is a bit in the middle of nowhere. This is not people talk about Dallas, Fort Worth and how they're only an hour apart, but there's a clear divide. Yeah, this is not our area of North Texas. This is true cowboy.
Yeah, for sure. But unfortunately, the timing was just really bad for an expansion. So September 11th, 2001 changed everything for everybody, but also for companies who for several years were no longer flying their employees to big consolidated conferences. And really the tourism industry took a huge hit around that time. So Linda really struggled to keep up with the loan payments for that loan she had taken out to build the conference center. And in 2004, unfortunately, the bank foreclosed on the property because she could not come up with the $2.4 million that she owed the bank. And so some new investors came in and they took over, and their deal was that they wanted to keep Linda on as the Dude Ranch's figurehead. Everybody knew this was the Texas Lil's Dude Ranch. Mascot's not the right word, but figurehead.
Yeah, I think that
says
works.
it all, right? And under the terms of this offer, she could continue living in the house that she had built on the ranch, and she would earn a yearly salary. And I think from a business perspective, this makes a lot of sense from these new investors. Like, she already knows the business. She knows the ranch. She knows the ranch hands. They know how to... You're not bringing somebody in new to figure out how to run this.
Right.
And she'd been involved, I mean, obviously in the party business. I mean, and this is a party business still. Since the 60s or so. And I mean, if you look at pictures of her, she dressed the part. She leaned into the stereotype and wore the cool hat and had the big hair and
the turquoise and silver jewelry.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yes, especially if you imagine it, some out-of-state folks coming to have like a Wild West experience. I mean, this is who you're picturing.
Yeah, like how do you bring in a new management team that fits that persona well? So they kept Linda on. They even kept on a few of the ranch staff, namely Bill and Tina Howard. But as you ladies and listeners may have noticed, like at this point, we still haven't really gotten to any crimes.
Yeah, it's been decades.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm like giving you a lot of like lead up to this crime. Okay. So let's recap just quickly. She bought the ranch. It's been foreclosed on. It was purchased by a new investor, DKM Real Estate Partnership. And only 6 days after the new owners took possession of the property, something tragic happened. On November 4th, 2004, Linda says she was sitting in her living room at her house on the ranch watching CSI when the ranch erupted in flames. Okay, before I get in more to that, I want to know if you were sitting on the ranch watching a TV show, what would it be?
In 2004?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, what about, okay, right now?
Oh, we just started DTF St. Louis.
Oh,
So-
is that any good?
It's the only one episode in. It's really good so far.
Okay.
It's going to be racy, but
Yeah,
good.
you do know what DTF stands for.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm guessing, yes, that's not you and the boys.
No.
Yep.
The husband.
Yeah. Me and the boys have been watching Mad Men. So we watch usually like one episode a night. And we're almost to the very end of season 8. And it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it helps that my kids like history and it brings in the natural flow of the conversation. Oh, JFK or Bobby Kennedy or just different current events or Martin Luther King. So they talk about it, but then they also love just kind of the behind the scenes of advertising world in New York City at that time period. So we've been watching that, but now my husband's out of town this week. And so
Oh, you gotta wait.
yeah, so I have to
That's
find
so hard.
Yes, I have
Yeah,
to
I
find
hate
shows to watch without them.
If I'm sitting down by myself to watch TV,
Okay.
not with the boys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch a rerun that I can mindlessly not pay
Yeah.
attention to because I need it just to decompress.
Right.
And it's either NCIS, Rizzoli and Isles, or Castle, which makes me sound like a 95-year-old woman.
I love
realize.
it.
But that is like so whenever she was like, I was watching CSI, I was like, oh, I'm right there with you, girl.
Yeah, well, we're also trying to binge a bunch more of the Oscars because the Oscars are being on
yes.
Sunday, and
That's you and your film buff.
oh yes, so
Love it.
we've gotten most of them done.
Well, so while Linda is watching CSI, 3 of the ranch's main buildings caught fire amid, shall we say, like questionable circumstances. And get this one building was allegedly set fire to an hour after emergency crews had already arrived on the scene to put out the fires that had been started. So, according to one article I read, the fire was among the largest in North Texas history, with the glow visible 20 miles away in Fort Worth. But, I mean, this is like real flat land, so it's not super surprising. 10 fire departments battled the blaze, which destroyed the 38,500 square foot conference center, the 4,000 square foot restaurant and bar, and the 2,500 square foot office. I couldn't find any details on this, but I don't think it destroyed Linda's house because she was sitting in her recliner watching TV. I think her house was fine. But Mel, if you've heard differently while you were researching.
You're right. I don't recall.
Okay. Well, luckily no one was injured in the blaze. And only hours after the fire, a Texas Lil's Dude Ranch employee, Billie Jean Howard, he was one of those employees that stayed on with the new management, was taken into custody. Authorities found him covered with accelerant and standing near one of the blazing buildings. So, of course, they charged him with arson. And I was trying to think through this. Like, is there any reason he would have accelerant on him if he hadn't started the fires?
Not unless he encountered someone who put it on
He
him.
tackled the person that had the accelerant.
Maybe he fell into some accelerant.
As one does. I was like brainstorming. It's like, okay, so what is your story here? How did you get this on you?
Because I read that he was, saying that, he picked up a gun and was, when he ran out of wherever he was staying, I don't know, in the bunkhouse, and was trying to find who was committing arson or something like that. Like I don't want to say he made up, but he said his excuse was that he was trying to hunt down whoever did it.
I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either. So when all was said and done, the fire damage to the property was estimated at $2 million. And look, Linda herself did not come out unscathed in the prosecutions. 2 weeks after the fires, she was arrested on a felony charge of tampering with evidence. You see, right before the fire, she had moved many of her personal possessions, including news articles about the business, trophies, personal memorabilia, and photographs, out of the buildings that caught fire. Police found these items in a storage trailer the next day and found it suspicious that important items to her had been saved. Now, Linda disputed this. She was like, look, I lost a lot of my personal belongings in the fire. What you found actually belonged to the former public relations director. I just sort of packed it all up and set it aside for her to come pick it up. So I think that's reasonable to me. That I'm not saying she wasn't involved, but I'm not saying she was either. I'm saying that's a reasonable excuse for like, why did these things get moved? Well, somebody else is under new ownership. Only certain people stayed on. Mm-hmm. I was essentially packing her desk for her and putting it aside for her.
I totally get that.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I also really like her. So
yeah, I know.
So yeah.
But I also really like the guy that like him and his wife had been there a long time. Like
it's hard to explain the accelerant.
That's harder to explain. Yeah. So an article quoted Linda as saying, people were saying I was behind it. That would be like setting fire to your own child. I used to tell people that this ranch wasn't my place. It was God's place, and I was the caretaker. I really felt that way. While she was not arrested for anything pertaining to the fire, she was arrested later that year in December for misdemeanor theft of $63.50 in quarters, which she had taken from 2 laundry machines at the ranch. I'm like, who's being this vindictive?
That's weird.
Yeah,
there's more to this story. Like there's a feud going on now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when she posted bail the following morning, a TV news crew was waiting for her. And Linda said she hid her face out of vanity, saying she looked terrible. But in retrospect, she thinks that hiding her face from the cameras probably made her appear guilty, not just for the theft, but perhaps for the fire as well. Now, as it turned out, a grand jury declined to indict Linda on the evidence tampering charge, and the misdemeanor charge was dropped. So she was never prosecuted for any of the crimes at the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other hand, Bill Howard pled guilty to possession of a firearm by a felon to avoid an arson trial and spent 6 years in jail. So I guess, like, probably if you're out working as a ranch hand somewhere, there's some stuff in your past, or you're the kind of person that is probably can't get a different type of job.
Yeah, he had some conviction in his youth, so he should not have owned a firearm. I mean, which... Texas, it's pretty hard not to be able to own a firearm.
Especially on a ranch. I mean, there are some real practical reasons for owning and to your point, Elena, you said his story was he ran out to find the perpetrator and had the gun. It was actually the gun that ended up getting him in trouble.
Yes.
So, to her dying day, Linda believed that Bill was a scapegoat. She told reporters that there was no reason for him to do it and, quote, he loved that place as much as I did.
Oh.
Do y'all think he did it?
I don't know. I mean, if he did it, he was only doing it in conjunction with her.
Oh, really? Okay. You think it would have been okay.
I mean, he lived on that property with his wife too. If he did it, there was probably some sort of, but what also, if they were going to set fire to it, wouldn't they have done it before they sold the property and get some sort of insurance?
That's what I was thinking. The timing doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm inclined, I want to believe the best in them. And it's funny when you like a character, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you like it, we're more open to them being innocent.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I can see somebody being like, these effing assholes. They come in here and they think they own everything. Like,
but they could still, they were staying on. They still were employed.
I know.
Well, I have a hot take.
Oh, let's hear it.
Could T. Colin Davis have done it?
well, I mean, he is a naughty guy.
He was a bad guy. I mean, he's
still alive.
He's still alive.
Oh.
Is he? Are we doing
Did
some
we
quick
look that up?
Googling?
I think we looked that up. Well, maybe
It was 2 years ago, though,
it was
so
2
who
years ago.
knows?
Yeah.
Everything we are saying is alleged. And
I love our legal disclaimer over there. Okay, so do y'all want to know what happened to the property?
Sure do.
Okay, so the land was purchased by the Northwest School District, and they bought it with the intent to use the land for an outdoor science classroom.
Aw, that's so sweet.
I also have questions because, the Barnett Shale was like right over in that area, which was, for our non-Texas listeners, was like a big oil depository. So people that like mine for oil found a lot of oil in that section of like where the Texas Motor Speedway is in Fort Worth. I'm curious if this property was part of the Barnett Shale. Probably not if a school district could afford to buy it.
Right.
yeah, I think I read that nowadays they use it for like a camping retreat. So like, how like, a grade might go in 4th grade or 7th grade might go, they'll go camping on this land. And then they'll use it for, I don't know, like field trips. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think like outdoor learning is so important for kids. So
Yeah, that's neat.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. This is a great story about
I'm
Texas
so glad
Lil.
you liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more thing about her.
Okay.
Because we both love her so much, and I think Mel does too. In one article I read, she talked about writing a memoir. And so the author asked her, they were like, well, what would you call it? And she says, I'm thinking about swimming upstream all the way.
Oh,
Isn't that awesome?
Cute. Yeah, I like that.
So I hope all our listeners have as much like gumption and grit as she does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, us too. I want us to have that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is an easy one, but live there, list it.
Yes, both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening and supporting the show. If you love the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast and subscribe so you never miss an episode drop.
yes, please do that. We'd really appreciate it.
Yes.
And we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye. Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening and being a part of our Crime Estate family.
If you're curious about today's featured crime estate, you can find additional photos and details from today's episode online at crimeestate.com or on Facebook and Instagram by following at Crime Estate Podcast.
Have a crime estate we should cover? Let us know. Shoot us an email at crimeestatepodcast@gmail.com. Until next week.